So I've practiced as a curator for almost 20 years. And last year I had a real pivot in my practice. I decided I didn't really want to operate in the art world the way that I had for my whole career. And I really wanted to divert my energy and my interest back to my people. As a Fijian working in South Auckland, I've very rarely been able to do projects about my community. So all of my work has basically been about serving, Polynesian arts community needs for my whole career. So the reason I've wanted to make this show is because I wanted to really delve back into what's important to my identity as a Fijian. Started studying this year, doing a Masters of Applied Indigenous Knowledge at Te Wānanga o Aotearoa. And in the process, really started to think about the Fijian principles that guide my practice. And one of the principles is reciprocity. And reciprocity is something, of course, in so many Pacific cultures, it's so embedded in how we are and how we are to each other, our relationships. But in Fijian, there isn't a word for reciprocity. Like so many English words don't have a mutual translation. But in conversation with my father, we discussed the idea that Solesolevaki, the idea of working together, give and take, and mutuality is like a practice of reciprocity. We do it in different ways in our rituals and stuff, but I love this idea that by working together, we can really understand the application of reciprocity. So when I was invited to make an exhibition for Tautai, I really was thinking about, I don't really want to make exhibitions for the art world anymore. I want to make exhibitions that contribute to my Fijian community. And so they allowed me in this environment here at Tautai to make an exhibition about an expression of Solesolevaki through my family. So I've opted to work with my parents, my sister and her children, my child, and all of those who are interwoven into our family. And thinking about our brother too and his six children who are not here in New Zealand. So basically, Solesolevaki is this expression of my family, which is an exhibition project I don't think I'd be able to make in any other gallery. So Tautai has given me that sort of creative freedom. Um, and the way that we've used this idea of Solesolevaki is we've worked together to make an exhibition where we've all reflected on the ways that we experience our Fijianness in our everyday lives. So this idea of what does cultural transmission look like in our lived experiences? For us, my sister and her children live here in New Zealand. I've lived here in New Zealand for 20 years. I've raised my daughter here. Without that connection back to our whenua, to our extended Fijian family, what does the knowledge that we've absorbed in our lives, how does that translate into our lives in New Zealand? And for us too, because we, as Fijians, we don't have the numbers that other Pacific Island groups here have. And so, like, for example, I moved over here by myself. You find a lot of Fijians move here sort of in smaller groups, not so much big family groups kind of thing. I don't have many opportunities to sort of experience Fijian culture in a collective sense in Auckland. So this is why I wanted to go back to the family. How do we experience it in our family unit? My family, I'm the only one in my family who lives in Auckland. So this exhibition has allowed all my family to come here, which has been a bit of a plot for me to have everyone come to Auckland for a change. And we celebrate Fiji Day on the 10th of October. We celebrate the opening of the exhibition, and we celebrate that we're going to have one, two, three, four generations of my family here in Auckland for the first time, celebrating together on Fiji Day and celebrating this exhibition, which is really this expression of all of us, not just one.
I love that you've spoke about like, the importance of this bringing your whānau together. How has that been? Like, has everything gone smoothly?
Well, that's the interesting thing about so operating as a curator in an art world setting, you're very much kind of calling the shots of how things look and feel. how things are framed and discussed and promoted. And not doing that is quite liberating. So by using the whole family, we're all accountable for this project, and it has created a sense of investment that everyone has in the project that I've never seen in my family before. No one can kind of opt out very easily because they want to be involved, they want to be part of it, and also my parents who are both in their 70s. It's a real recognition that there is this passing on of knowledge that has to happen. Otherwise, especially in diaspora New Zealand, we can lose it. And then what do we have? We have a real void in our hearts. So we have to. It feels good to do this. It feels good to reconnect and strengthen and fortify the bonds we have with each other and our village. So Javuni is where my father was born and raised, and that's the village that my sister and I have taken our children back to perform a ceremony called a Kanimata, which is to present your firstborn back to your village to say basically our children are part of our village forever, forever for their lifetimes. And I love that sense of turanga waiwai. Like Javuni is our turanga waiwai like nowhere else. So it's very empowering when you reconnect with your turanga waiwai. Mm.
Oh, that's beautiful. You were saying as well that, the Fijian community is a minority within a minority. How do you hope that, a story like yours and your family will hopefully
Mm.
impact the Fijian community, but also, I
Yeah.
guess, just specific people to not forget to always be
Mm.
inclusive of our Melanesian brothers and sisters as well?
Yes. I mean, the thing is with making an exhibition is we are talking about a limited audience. My whole career has been about trying to break down the social barriers that exist in the arts that mean that our majority of our Pacifica communities aren't actually like always feeling that welcome or part of what we do in galleries and museums and in this kind of world. And this is my kind of disconnect with this world I've always had. So when I made the show, I'm really thinking for the people who do come and those who it does impact and who can pay the parking to come to K Road see an exhibition. But it really just reflects that we've really tried to break the conventions of an exhibition in this gallery. We've done things like painting directly on the wall. We've done things like my niece has turned her artwork into tea towels. We want to really emphasize the kind of everyday that when we think actually cultural transmission happens in our hands. It happens in the way we talk to our children. The exhibition, I hope, will agitate people to think when you walk into a gallery and you think, oh, paintings on a wall or photographs or things that look like real life, photorealistic stuff. That's not the only language of creativity. I hope that this exhibition makes people reconsider what creativity can be when it's used as a language for our families and for our communities. That galleries and exhibitions and museums don't have license to tell us what we should interpret as art. Creativity is what my research is about in my master's is like creativity is this amazing mode of allowing people to sit in their relationship with their indigenous selves. By doing creative projects, we ease the dis-ease of not knowing. I like that we are positioning this exhibition in Fijian Language Week because I have always had a bit of a critique of language weeks in that it sort of holds the language as this sort of almighty measure of of our indigeneity. But in actuality, and what my family and what my project and what my research is about is through tacit knowledge, through the learning week, experiential learning, through our names and through our memories and our stories and the way we see the world is all a form of knowing and a form of being a Fijian. And so, my father, an Indigenous Fijian chose to raise three children monolingual. You know, there's whole stories behind why we have the generation of children who didn't get language as part of their cultural transmission. What I want to do through my practice is recognize that there are other ways of being that mean that even when we are monolingual or learning our languages back, we're still full entities. We're still Fijians in our hearts. We still genetically are connected to our vanua, to our whenua. And so I think that's what I like about this project too, that it just speaks to the different ways that we are allowed to feel a fullness of ourselves, you know?
My final question is, you did touch on it before, is about, just what language means in all different aspects. What does Fiji Language Week mean to you?
The Pacific Language Weeks have, they're good in that they raise awareness. They're good in that they make us think about and celebrate ourselves in different weeks of the year. My critique of language weeks is that they're over too soon. And it feels so harsh to me that it's like 6 days and it's over, you know? And that feels hard when it's like, okay, take down all the tapa, take down all the, and then it's like, what's next? And that feels hard to me. So Fijian Language Week to me, the center of Fijian Language Week is Fiji Day. So Fiji Independence Day is the 10th of October. That in Fiji is like, this is like our most proud celebration of nationhood and identity. I've programmed events around Fiji Day like my whole career because Fiji Day is such a celebration. And so for me, the emphasis of Fijian Language Week is Fiji Day. And because for Fijians, this is such an important day, it bonds us as a people. We, of course, have such a troubled political landscape. My whole life, 40 years of coups and uprisings and all sorts. But when it comes to Fiji Day, we are all so bonded, we're so unified, and it's such a beautiful energy that I feel here. You feel it from other Fijians all over the world. All over the world, we connect to this. And so I love Fiji Day for that reason. I asked Tautai if we could open our exhibition on Fiji Day. It's also my dad's birthday. So my dad is, the patriarch of our family. He's a key storyteller. He's older than Fiji. He was born in 1946 and Fiji became independent in 1970. So we celebrate dad and we celebrate Fiji Day on the same day. The other thing I'll just say about Fijian Language Week is my frustration is that every year we kind of hash out the same basic vocabulary. And so every Fijian Language Week, I've really tried to help add to a complexity of understanding Fijian language, because I think we need to really dig a bit deeper in terms of, hi, my name is Bulavanaka. To me, that doesn't feel like a celebration. It feels like tourism. Solesolevaki is something so many people can relate to. And I would love us to really think in Fiji Language Week, like Solesolevaki is a concept. It's a concept that relates to Fijian ideas of self and relational and everything, politics, relationship with land, everything. So our words and our language is so much more loaded than just basic transactional language that we use with other people. It's great that everyone can say Bulavanaka, but you know, anyone can do that any day of the year.
Yes, yes, yes. Appreciate that, Kōrero. Before we wrap up, do you have anything else to say about Solesolevaki or anything else that you want to talk about?
This project is interesting because it's coming together in real time. So as a curator, normally you've got a strong idea of what an artwork's going to look like, where it's going to go, how people are going to experience it in the room, kind of thing. But this exhibition is revealing itself as we go, So we have this lovely exhibition installer working here in the gallery, and he mentioned yesterday, so it's like it's design as you go. And I was like, yeah, I mean, that's kind of what's happening. We have to really trust the process because the kaupapa is strong, And I love that because I don't have any idea what it's really going to look like. But I love that everyone in the shows been looked after, everyone's been held, all their stories are being held. And it really talks to the way the relationship my family has with New Zealand, because my mother is a Pākehā New Zealander, and we are recognizing the ways that our family has been interwoven. And so I think when I think about what would be nice for people to take away from this is that, um, as mixed race people, we often, and this is my critique of language weeks as well, you know, because we're mixed race, sometimes, we haven't been brought up in full language immersion environments. And so there's this idea that there's a deficit around you. And what we really want to acknowledge in the show is that our mum, we really want to acknowledge our mum um, for her role in our family.
Yes,
And also, on paper, everything looks really like we're like this really put together happy family. Like a lot of the work that we've made in this exhibition is really about confronting and healing relationships. Um,
mm.
it's emotional. I'll just say one last thing. I'll just say, I've really built my career here in service to artists. As a curator and arts manager, it's been my privilege for so long to make exhibitions, to hype artists up, and it's been the joy of my. I've never felt like it's work because it's such a privilege to do
Mm.
this mahi. And I think in that process, I've sort of you become quite a machine. You're doing, I know arts administration like the back of my hand, and I think in that process, it's quite easy to become a little bit invisible. What I love about this exhibition is like I've never really shown myself. We know that when someone meets your family and sees you in the context of your family, they know you. We can present all kinds of other versions of ourselves to our friends and our colleagues, but until you're seen in the context of the way your mum and dad talk to you, the way your sisters talk to you, that's when you're showing your true self. And so I am. I feel safe about it because I'm surrounded by my family, but for 20 years, I've never really, because my family's not here, and I'm looking forward to people meeting me in the context of who I am in my family. Yeah.
Reintroducing yourself in a way, eh?
Yeah, hard out. Hard
Oh,
out.